The bloodstained dawn of Japan's 16th and 17th centuries was an age of chaos, where the land was torn asunder by the savage claws of war. The Sengoku period was an age of endless conflict, with samurai warlords vying for the ultimate prize, the dominion of all Japan. Amidst the carnage, Tokugawa Ieyasu's story would become legend, as the fearless samurai was not only an incredible warrior, but also a master strategist, manoeuvring through the dangerous webs of politics and power. This is his story. Tokugawa Ieyasu was born in the year 1543, the exact same year as the arrival of the Europeans, who introduced firearms into Japanese warfare. Ieyasu was originally named Matsudaira Takechiyo, and would change his name several times throughout his life. For the purpose of this video, I will refer to him as Tokugawa Ieyasu. His father was Matsudaira Hirotada, the lord of Okazaki Castle and the head of the Matsudaira clan, and daimyo of the Mikawa province. Ieyasu's mother was named Odai no Kata, who was the daughter of a neighbouring samurai lord named Mizuno Tadamasa. Ieyasu's parents were both young when he was born, his father being 17 and his mother being 15. Complications would soon arise, however. In the year of Ieyasu's birth, the Matsudaira clan would split. Hirotada's uncle defected to the powerful Oda clan, a powerful political force during that era in Japan. This defection emboldened Oda Nobuhide to launch an attack on Ieyasu's father's stronghold, the castle of Okazaki. Not long after, Hirotada's father-in-law passed away, and his successor, Mizuno Nobumoto, would join the Oda clan. Consequently, Ieyasu's father Hirotada parted ways with his mother, Odai no Kata, divorcing her and returning her to her family. Ieyasu would eventually have 11 half-brothers and sisters through his parents' new marriages. As Oda Nobuhide pressed on with his relentless assault on Okazaki, Hirotada found himself in dire need of support. He sought the aid of his formidable eastern neighbour, Imagawa Yoshimoto, who agreed to lend his strength under one significant condition: that Hirotada would send his young heir Ieyasu to the Sunpu domain as a guarantee of his loyalty. Nobuhide, however, through a network of spies, learned of the deal. The cunning warlord then swiftly orchestrated the abduction of Hirotada's 5-year-old son, Ieyasu. In a chilling turn of events, Nobuhide, perhaps seeking to break Hirotada's resolve, threatened to execute Ieyasu unless his father renounced all ties with the Imagawa clan, but Hirotada, with unwavering determination, refused to yield, asserting that sacrificing his own flesh and blood would demonstrate the depth of his commitment. Surprisingly, Nobuhide chose not to end Ieyasu's life, but instead kept him captive for the next 3 years. Legend has it that during this period a fateful meeting took place. A 6-year-old Ieyasu encountered a young Oda Nobunaga, who was 14 at the time. This meeting would unknowingly set the stage for future alliances and conflicts among the great families of Japan. In the year 1549, Ieyasu's father Hirotada met a brutal demise. Betrayed by those sworn to his service, he fell victim to the treachery fueled by the bribes of gold by the Oda clan. Simultaneously, across the vast expanse of Japan, fate's hand dealt a harsh blow to the mighty Oda clan. Oda Nobuhide, whose name commanded fear and respect alike, succumbed to an epidemic of sickness. In the year 1551, the looming shadow of conflict descended upon the castle where Oda Nobuhiro, the acknowledged but illegitimate son of Nobuhide, sought refuge. Imagawa Sesai led an imposing army and besieged the stronghold, threatening to engulf Nobuhiro in the turmoil of battle. Yet, salvation arrived in an unexpected form. Oda Nobunaga, the audacious second son and rightful heir of Nobuhide, emerged as a beacon of hope through skillful negotiations. Sesai struck an accord with Nobunaga, stipulating the surrender of Ieyasu, now a 9-year-old boy, into the custody of the Imagawa clan. Despite the separation from his family, Ieyasu found himself thrust into the intricate web of political intrigue as he became a pawn in the grand schemes of rival clans. Transported to the fortress of Sunpu, Ieyasu's fate hung in the balance. Yet, amidst the uncertainties of his hostage status, he found solace in the relatively humane treatment afforded to him by his captors. From the age of 9 to the age of 14, Ieyasu's life remained tethered to the whims of fate within the walls of Sunpu. As he observed the treacherous currents of allegiance and ambition in the ever-shifting landscape of feudal Japan, he would learn what it meant to be a daimyo. When Ieyasu finally came of age, Imagawa Yoshimoto, the lord of the Imagawa clan, bestowed blessings upon Ieyasu during the elaborate Genpuku ceremony, a timeless tradition steeped in honour. Emboldened by his newfound status as a man, Ieyasu journeyed to his ancestral seat of Okazaki Castle to pay respects to his deceased father. He then took control of the samurai still loyal to the Matsudaira clan, becoming their new leader. At the tender age of 15, Ieyasu entered into matrimony with Lady de Tsukiyama, a noblewoman whose lineage intertwined with that of Imagawa Yoshimoto, the esteemed lord of the neighbouring domain. A year later, their son, Matsudaira Nobuyasu, was born. Ieyasu returned to his ancestral lands in the Mikawa province, eager to take up the mantle of leadership and fulfill his duties to his people. However, the tranquility of domestic life proved fleeting as the thunderous drums of war resounded once more. The Imagawa clan, recognizing Ieyasu's martial prowess, called upon him to lead his forces against the Oda clan in a series of harrowing battles that would test his mettle and shape his destiny. Ieyasu fought his first battle in the year 1558, at the siege of Terabe. Still a teenager, he personally led the charge, spearheading the onslaught that would engulf the enemy castle in a fiery inferno. Ieyasu would also take part in several missions while in the service of Yoshitomo, further learning the art of war and politics from a very young age. In the year 1559, the leadership within the Oda clan passed to Oda Nobunaga. However, the year 1560 bore witness to a dramatic turn of events, as the formidable Imagawa Yoshimoto was marching on Kyoto to finally challenge the increasingly weak and ineffective Ashikaga shogunate in order to establish himself as the ruler of the country. His army would take the road of the Tokaido highway and crossed from Mikawa to Owari province, which had recently been united by the local warlord Oda Nobunaga. The Imagawa forces would sweep across the land and began ravaging it. Ieyasu at this time was besieging a fortress belonging to Oda Nobunaga. During the siege, Ieyasu made use of the new firearms that had been introduced to the country by the Europeans, and made use of concentrated fire. Sakuma Morishinge, the commander of the fortress, was killed by a bullet, and his entire garrison were put to the sword. However, While Ieyasu was killing Oda Nobunaga's vassals, Nobunaga would lead his men in person in a surprise attack on the Imagawa forces, marching across his lands. The Imagawa was celebrating their recent easy victories. As the afternoon was very hot, many had removed their armour. This resulted in the Battle of Okehazama, where Yoshitomo was killed by Nobunaga's surprise assault. In the wake of Imagawa Yoshimoto's untimely demise, the once mighty Imagawa clan found itself in uncertainty. Its foundations were shaken by the loss of their mighty leader. Sensing the tide of war changing in the landscape of feudal Japan, Ieyasu would seize this moment. He rallied his loyal warriors, marching them back to Okazaki Castle, his ancestral seat. Ieyasu would reclaim his birthright, marking the dawn of a new era and cementing his place among Japan's daimyos. In a turn of fate, Ieyasu decided to ally himself with Oda Nobunaga. Ieyasu had met him before when he was a hostage, and the two former enemies became friends. A secret deal was needed because Ieyasu's wife, Lady Tsukiyama, and his infant son Nobuyasu were being held hostage in Sunpu by Ieyasu's old fallen lord's son and heir, Imagawa Ujizane. In the year 1562, Ieyasu would lay siege to Kaminogo Castle, and he commissioned Hattori Hanzo, a famous ninja, to attack it under the cover of darkness in a stealth mission, setting fire to the castle and capturing the lord of the castle's sons. Ieyasu then used these hostages to exchange them for the lives of his own wife and son. Ieyasu's battle prowess would truly shine during the Battle of Batagohara in the year 1564. The Ikko-Ikki were a league of monks, ronin, and peasants who were strongly against samurai rule. The Ikki were constantly resisting samurai efforts to tax their temples, and fighting would soon break out. Ieyasu decided to concentrate his forces and eliminate the troublesome Ikki. Ieyasu, however, would face desertion by some of his own nobles, who had turned over to the rebellion out of religious sympathy. The battle was fierce, and Ieyasu took the field personally, issuing challenges to enemy samurai and fighting in the front line, where he received several bullets that pierced his armour but failed to mortally wound him. Ieyasu's prowess on the battlefield convinced many of the samurai turncoats to switch sides again. However, the Ikki were not completely vanquished, and Ieyasu would continue his campaign, now having gained a significant reputation as a warrior, and becoming the master of the Mikawa province. In the year 1567, Ieyasu started his own family name called Tokugawa. As he was a member of the Matsudaira clan, he claimed descent from the Minamoto clan, one of the most powerful families in Japan, whose members had been emperors and shoguns in the days of old. Ieyasu maintained his allegiance to Nobunaga, with his Mikawa soldiers fighting alongside Nobunaga's forces in the capture of Kyoto in the year 1568. Concurrently, Ieyasu harboured ambitions to extend his influence into the Totomi province in the east. He forged an alliance with Takeda Shingen, the formidable leader of the Takeda clan based in the Kai province. In the year 1569, Ieyasu's forces penetrated deep into the Totomi province, while simultaneously, Takeda Shingen's army seized control of the Suruga province, including the capital of the Imagawa clan, Sunpu. Fleeing to Kakegawa Castle, Imagawa Ujizane found himself besieged by Ieyasu's troops. In a shrewd move, Ieyasu negotiated with Ujizane, offering assistance in reclaiming Suraga if Ujizane surrendered the Totomi province. With little left to lose, Ujizane accepted the deal. This would prompt Ieyasu to swiftly terminate his allegiance with Takeda and instead align himself with Takeda's rival to the north, Uesugi Kenshin of the Uesugi clan. Through strategic manipulation, Ieyasu had secured the support of the samurai in the Totomi province. Takeda Shingen broke the alliance with the Oda Tokugawa forces and began campaigning against Ieyasu due to his betrayal. The two armies would meet in the year 1573 at the Battle of Mikatagahara. Shingen was also known as the Tiger of Kai and was renowned for his military prestige. He would overwhelm Ieyasu's troops and caused much death during the battle. Ieyasu was convinced by his generals to retreat. Shingen would push forward and besieged Noda Castle. However, he let his guard down and was shot dead. Shingen was succeeded by his son Katsuyori, and for the next 7 years, Ieyasu and Katsuyori would fight a series of small battles. But the culmination of these conflicts was the Battle of Tenmokuzan in the year 1582. This was the final attempt by Takeda Katsuyori to resist the combined forces of Tokugawa Ieyasu and Oda Nobunaga. Katsuyori would try to hide from his enemies and went as far as burning his own castle down. He then fled into the mountains to another Takeda stronghold. However, Katsuyori was denied entry by the lord of the castle. With no fortress to hold his allies, the remaining Takeda servants and warriors would lose all hope and dispersed in panic. Along the way, many men dropped out until only 41 warriors and some 50 women were left. The Oda general Takigawa Kazumazu found the remaining Takeda warriors and attacked. The last 41 Takeda samurai solemnly executed their wives and children and came fighting with their swords, seeking only an honourable death. The Takeda were massacred, with Katsuyori's wife and son having committed ritual suicide known as seppuku, and Katsuyori himself being slain. It was the end of the glorious Takeda clan. Oda Nobunaga invited Ieyasu to the Kansai region in order to celebrate the demise of the Takeda clan. Nobunaga was on the verge of unifying the country, and at this point was the most powerful daimyo in Japan. However, he was unexpectedly attacked in an event now remembered to history as the Honnoji incident. Nobunaga was slain by his own vassal, Akechi Mitsuhide, ending his campaign to unify Japan under his rule. Ieyasu would soon learn of Nobunaga's death and would gather his samurai, mobilizing his army. In 1583, a struggle for supremacy in Japan unfolded between Toyotomi Hideyoshi and Shibata Katsue, one of Nobunaga's old trusted generals. Ieyasu, renowned for his patience and wisdom, refrained from aligning with either party in this conflict. Hideyoshi would emerge triumphant over the conflict in the Battle of Shizugatake, thereby solidifying his position as the foremost daimyo in Japan. In the year 1584, Ieyasu made the perilous decision to back Oda Nobukatsu, the eldest surviving son and heir of Oda Nobunaga, in opposition of Toyotomi Hideyoshi. This move carried significant risk, as it could have led to the potential downfall of the Tokugawa clan, given the collapse of the Oda clan following Nobunaga's demise. The Tokugawa Oda allegiance would fight the Toyotomi clan. However, after months of fruitless campaigns, Ieyasu and Hideyoshi would settle through war negotiations, and made a truce. Hideyoshi and Ieyasu would together attack the last independent daimyo in Japan, Hojo Ujimasa. After a series of battles, the Hojo eventually accepted defeat. Their leaders committed seppuku, and Ieyasu took control of their provinces, ending the Hojo clan's reign of over 100 years. Over time, Ieyasu would become the second most powerful daimyo in Japan. Toyotomi Hideyoshi would die in the year 1598, being succeeded by his 5-year-old son, Hideyori. Ieyasu led an army to Osaka Castle, the residence of the young Hideyori. This again would cause a split in the country, and all of Japan's samurai and daimyos would split into 2 groups. One was led by Ishida Mitsunari, who once served Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and the other was led by Ieyasu. In April of the year 1600, a crew of European traders would reach the island of Kyushu in Japan. Their cargo consisted of many goods, most notably 5,000 cannonballs and 500 muskets. The Japanese locals and Jesuit priests mistook the traders for pirates, and they were arrested and imprisoned at Osaka Castle. The bronze cannons on the ship were unloaded and were put into storage. William Adams, the navigator of the ship, would be summoned by Tokugawa Ieyasu, and he would ask him several questions about foreign lands and foreign gods in which he believed. Ieyasu would take a liking to the Englishman, recognizing his talents, and commissioned him to build Japan's first Western-style ship. Ieyasu would soon face the Toyotomi clan in a conflict remembered to history as the Battle of Sekigahara. The battle was a bloodbath, with several clans under Ishinda Mitsunari defecting before the battle. Ieyasu also used the cannons and artillery he seized from William Adams' ship, bringing the extra firepower to the battle. Many notable samurais were slain, and Mitsunari's own forces were defeated. He would escape and go on the run. However, after a few days, many of his nobles and samurai were captured, and he was executed, leaving Ieyasu as the most powerful daimyo in Japan. In the year 1603, Ieyasu would receive the title of Shogun at the age of 60 years old. He was personally appointed by the emperor. Ieyasu had managed to live through the turbulent era of the Sengoku period. Many great men around him had perished, such as Oda Nobunaga, Takeda Shingen, and Toyotomi Hideyoshi, to name a few. As shogun, he used his remaining years to create and solidify the Tokugawa shogunate, which ushered in the Edo period, emerging from the chaos of the Sengoku period. The Edo period was characterized by economic growth and peace. Ieyasu oversaw diplomatic relations with the Netherlands, Spain, and England. However, beginning in the year 1609, Ieyasu opted to lessen Japan's engagement with European powers, although the shogunate continued to grant trading privileges to the Dutch East India Company and allowed them to maintain a trading outpost, known as a factory. Between the years 1605 until his passing, Ieyasu regularly sought counsel from William Adams, an English shipwright and pilot. Fluent in Japanese and being a Protestant, Adams aided the shogun in navigating and negotiating trading agreements. Nonetheless, in the year 1614, Ieyasu's apprehensions regarding Spanish territorial aspirations prompted him to enact a Christian expulsion edict. This decree prohibited the practice of Christianity and resulted in the expulsion of all foreign missionaries. This decision was aided by William Adams, who became the shogun's personal advisor relating to all things Western. The only remaining threat to Ieyasu's rule was the son of his old ally, named Toyotomi Hideyori. Now a youthful daimyo residing in Osaka Castle, Hideyori garnered support from numerous samurai who opposed Ieyasu, asserting his claim as the legitimate ruler of Japan. Ieyasu commanded Hideyori to vacate Osaka Castle, yet its occupants defied the order and called upon samurai to assemble within its walls. In the year 1614, Ieyasu would initiate a siege against Osaka Castle in an effort to quell the Hideyori resistance. At last, in the latter part of the year 1615, Osaka Castle succumbed, and nearly all of its defenders, including Hideyori and his mother, met their end, extinguishing the Toyotomi line. There were now no more threats to the Tokugawa's dominion over Japan. Ieyasu would die soon after, in the year 1616, at the age of 73. During his life, he was capable both of great loyalty and also betrayal. He could be honest, but also manipulative. He was cruel, ruthless, and highly intelligent. In this era of violence, bloodshed, and death, Ieyasu was a product of his environment, being left for dead by his father and traded as a hostage from when he was a boy. His master political strategy, combined with his battle prowess and chance, allowed him to rise from a relatively minor daimyo to the de facto ruler of Japan, the Shogun. It is said that Ieyasu fought as a warrior in 90 battles and fathered around 20 children. The Tokugawa shogunate would endure from the years 1603 until 1868, leading Japan to experience rapid economic growth and urbanization, which led to the rise of the merchant class. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe and share, and I'll see you all soon for another History Profile.